Oh, let's do this again. My name's Bertie Dow.
Elizabeth Mary, glad you could come for the interview today.
Thank you.
We're gonna go ahead on and get started. Can you describe yourself
I am
in your own words?
I am a hard-working, energetic individual. Sometimes I take on a little bit more than I'm able to handle, but I always seem to get the job done.
How has your education prepared you for this career?
My education has prepared me through several computer classes. I took medical billing, communication in the workplace. I took spreadsheet, Word, and I did some work in Access.
So sound like you're doing pretty good. When did you graduate high school?
Well, if you're asking, do I have a high school diploma?
But let me rephrase that. Are you over the age of 18?
Well, what does that have to do with this job?
We'll go on. So why did you choose the career you're now pursuing?
Because I've worked in other aspects of the medical field and I was wanting a change in the medical field, so I decided that I would like to work in the medical coding and billing department.
In your own words, can you tell me some of the responsibility of medical billing coding specialist?
A medical billing coding specialist they look up the codes, they do the billing, offer the diagnosis that the doctors has made. They submit claim forms to insurance companies and send bills out to the patients.
So, describe a time when you set your sights too high or too low.
Well, I worked as on call for a job, and I would always want to be able to fill the shifts so other people wouldn't have to come in and do them. And I overloaded myself, and I ended up getting sick from working too many hours.
So, what motivates you to work in the medical coding field?
Working with numbers, being access to other people, making sure that they're not overcharged and making sure that all the bills are submitted so the doctor will receive the proper pay.
Okay. Tell me a time when you had to go above and beyond the call of duty.
Well, we had an ice storm, and I ended up getting stranded at work for 3 days with no clothes, no food, and I would work 16 hours, and then I would sleep for 8, and I did that for 3 days, and when I finally did get to leave and go home, I went home and then I got stranded and I couldn't come back because they said to stay off the road, so.
Hey, describe your understanding of medical terminology.
Medical terminology is the breakdown of the anatomy, it's the terms used in the medical field for the proper diagnosis and the correct terminology.
If you was dealing with conflict, what is your typical way of handling?
Straight to the point. There's no point in beating around the bush, just solve the problem, get it over with, so that problem is solved and you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Can you give me an example of a time you had to deal with conflict?
Yes, it was another incident when I was on call and I had to ask a worker to move from one home to the other. And the worker thought I was being smart. She thought I had a pick with her, so she thought I was trying to make her move to a hoarder home and put somebody else in her spot where the workload wasn't as heavy.
So, how do you deal with difficult or angry patients or other medical personnel that you have to deal with? How would you do?
I would take them and talk to them and try to explain the situation, try and see what the problem is and see what can we do to try to solve the problem before it gets out of hand and cause other problems on the job.
Give me an example of a time you had to make a split-second decision.
Well, it was December the 16th, 2012. My brother got diagnosed with cancer and they gave him 2 weeks to live. And I was on call and I had to decide whether to take a leave of absence because on my job there is no benefits because we was taking turns sitting with him and it was my turn to sit and I had to decide whether I was going to go to work or miss work to sit at the hospital with him.
Tell me some of your greatest weaknesses. Your greatest weakness, if you have any.
Talking in front of a large crowd of people. That's one of my weaknesses.
You seem like you're doing a pretty good job of talking. Why would that be a weakness for you?
Because I'm afraid that I might say the wrong thing.
What's your knowledge of the computer system? You told me you learned Word and stuff in your training and stuff. I mean, that you've been taking some training. So tell me a little bit about your knowledge of the computer system.
Well, my knowledge of the computer system is well, I took PC operations and I know a little bit about going in and retrieving the data. I know how to reboot the computer, and I learned how to go in and do diagnostic repairs.
Tell me about a time when you were able to successfully deal with another person, even when that individual may or may not have personally like you.
Well, there was a time when I was working with an individual and it was nothing to do with the job. She didn't like me for personal reasons. And it seemed like every time we would work in the same house together, it was always a problem. It was always I said something to offend her, or I was being mean to her, or I was rude. And it just always was a problem.
Well, Miss Birdie, we got a few more people to interview, but we should be calling you soon.
So if I have any questions, is it okay for me to contact the company?
Yes, it is. I mean, if you got any, you can contact us, email us. But thank you for coming in.
And thank you
You
very
have a
much.
nice day.
Have a good day. Thank you.